So I mean, yes, Naga on KP they played it before. Like it's nothing special, but it's not a hero that they picked up recently. So I do feel like Newbee is adapting in this late stages of the tournament, and they will continue to have to do so when EG is going to be throwing curveballs left and right at them. So my question going into this draft is: are we going to see a Crystal Maiden first pick from EG, or are we going to see a Phoenix first pick from EG? Because that pick alone tells us a lot in terms of what kind of game plan that EG is going for.
Well, one of them's
not going to be CM, so there you go. I mean, another crits hero that he's been picking a lot for himself is the Bane. Definitely promote much more of an aggressive game plan. Unfortunately, they have been losing a lot with the hero, so we'll see where they go from there.
I do think second pick favors EG in this kind of situation and where we are at the bans at this point, simply because there's no chance the IO's getting through. I don't think there's any chance the Trion's going to get through anyway, so this kind of allows them to see the first pick and decide if they want to go for that puck-style draft once again here.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, something to point out with regards to picks is that Newbee has done so well on second pick this tournament. They seem to prefer it as well. In addition to Dire, I think a few months ago, leading up to this is a few months ago, Genting, but they had played something like 20 straight games on Dire as well, so they seem to favor that too. So we'll see how that plays in this time.
Well, not too surprising, is it? Puck comes once again. It's unbelievable how much farm is coming out on that hero. I can't really get over that. You know, it's not totally dependent on kills the way that we always tended to think about this hero, but the way he's moving around the map, catching up those stacks, getting all that gold popped on top of him, just always using the orb to travel across the map as fast as possible.
I also think that as a first pick for a mid hero, like, you don't reveal too much because Puck could play a lot of different ways. For example, if you pick up a Dragon Knight, you kind of have an idea what he wants to do. He's going to be trying to knock down tower. It's going to be a pushing strat. But the way that EG's been playing it, I've seen him go Blink into just straight Lincolns if he wants to be defensive. We've seen the Veil first from last game, and progressing into Blink and Dagon later on. I mean, we all know Sumail is a genius on the hero, but in terms of a drafting perspective, I think opening with Puck is ultra safe, especially when you have two players that can play on your team. And it's, I mean, I don't think Puck is the reason why they're struggling in this series or tied up at this series. I think Puck is a hero that they should be picking first phase every time because it's just been working out for them.
Is it the level 25 talent that allows Puck to have a little bit more variety in how you employ that strategy?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if it goes late enough, level 25 is, what, 420 GPM, blazing it for the team, buying wing shards and everything. But also, like, even before that point, we just see him getting Dagon upgraded. I think he, like, almost did the most damage for the team, for himself. And he was making huge plays, so. We are going to see Rubik coming out here from Newbee, and that's a hero that we haven't seen at all from them, I want to say.
Well, I gotta say, after some of those Puck, attempts on those ganks, everything getting a little bit jostled around. There were some Yules, there were some missed stuns. This makes it a little bit easier. Seam's been removed, but we'll get ourselves an even faster stun in the telekinesis here.
Some good spells for him to steal as well, and back to Lumi's point, the versatility is just super high value in this current meta right now where maybe you don't have those heroes except for the ones you see banned out that people consider really overpowered. Being able to hide your draft a little bit, especially against a second pick or a counter-picking team like Newbee, has added value. Being able to put that hero into different lanes depending on how the draft takes shape later on instead of committing yourself.
Right. Unless if Newbee takes out the Drow Ranger, then I think the off-lane Puck gets a lot weaker. One of the reasons why Universe did so well in that lane in Game 1 was because of the Drow Aura. And we did see Newbee commit a second phase ban to the Drow. We'll see if that will be the case here as well.
Seems only fitting. Don't want to have to face that. We've already talked about the long cooldowns, their power with the Enigma and the Tidehunter. Just makes sense to avoid the hero that's just so good at enabling the rest of your lineup to fight into that. So, taken out. Our Lifestealer has also been ceremoniously removed every single time with the Juggernaut. Perhaps another game where he won't make it through, but it will be that team fighter that they like in the Enigma.
Does that leave our Tidehunter out once again for Newbee? I mean, Rubik, Sand King, we've seen a lot of Kaka Sand King, and it also feels like Newbee are constantly opening with their duos. Still have that off-lane position open. A message from Shiver. Of course I'm watching. I think I need to prepare my mailbox, lol. Much love, Manila Masters.
Well, that would be appropriate if we got a Tidehunter then, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do it for Shiver, Newbee.
So how interchangeable is Tidehunter with Enigma? And this is a question for all of you guys because Evil Geniuses says no Enigma, but if it's a good, just like a one-to-one substitute, then, is that a wasted ban?
I think Enigma's just in a lot of ways better. Like, if you're not getting that very good matchup for the Tidehunter in the lane, it seems like a lot of the time you're just going to be better off the Enigma. He does so much more. You know, he's the threat of Black Hole. He's like holding it, and you have to play around it. Tidehunter is the just kind of like, oh, he's there and he's going to Ravage. You're like expecting it to get a much larger AoE. It just kind of gets slapped down in the team fight. So
Enigma always makes his lane work, right?
Yeah.
He's able to deny the creeps, pull the creep wave back. He's able to go jungle. Last time we saw this Tidehunter who didn't have a strong lane, he actually had to go and take ancient stacks. That
Right.
He's actively taking a resource away from his team in order to make the hero work. I feel like Enigma, you're very self-sufficient in being able to find farm.
Yeah, that's the thing. Enigma can go into the jungle as well, but being able to deny that range creep is an early advantage in lane. And then the other key difference between the ultimates, of course, is to being able to pierce BKB with the Black
Definitely,
Hole.
yeah.
And then finally, if you look at most of Enigma's build-up, you have the Octarine Core as part of it, the refresher, so the cooldowns end up being much better for Black Hole if you manage to farm and get to that later stage of the game.
I think the difference for me is that Enigma, while, like you said, have the better laning stage, he also needs more before he could teamfight like the way that Tide does, right? You need a Blink, you need a BKB. And in the context of this draft, as we see an Enchantress out of EG, is that Warlock is pretty much a guaranteed way to cancel the Black Hole throughout every stage of the game. So I'm surprised that they actually wasted, or not wasted, but selected to ban out Enigma on the 4th. I thought their team was already quite well equipped to deal with that.
And this could make things very interesting coming to the next pick for Universe as well. Thinking about something like the Enchantress and the Bat Rider, perhaps someone who's, again, we're talking more about like control, maybe not in the AoE sense that we'd have perhaps thought about, but in terms of like common dual lanes, that Enchantress Bat Rider is something that just shows up and is extremely difficult to deal with. We've already lost the Juggernaut for handling it. We've lost the Faceless Void, which is also considered a fairly survivable guy down there. Might be time to even consider something like that Lifestealer for Newbee.
We haven't seen any attempts of Evil Geniuses to employ either one of the big-time junglers, Enchantress or Chen, but they have faced up against it a number of times. Is this, again, them taking a page from NP's book?
Thinking about that, I think it could very well be. I would expect him to go with a much faster strategy this game. I think with the Enchantress on Radiant, obviously they have good roaming presence early on, but helps him secure Roshan as well. And if Newbee picks heroes that are a little bit too cooldown or item dependent, we could see EG trying to go for what they did in the earlier winner bracket series against Newbee, where they wanted these kind of fast Roshan push strategies.
I think the pushing strength of the Enchantress, as shown by EP, is timing a push with the siege units. Every 5th minute mark, you're going to have the siege unit. So 5 minutes in the game, if Zyva is going to be playing it like MP did, you grab one siege creep from one lane, you march it down to the other lane, join up with your siege creep. And if you look at the current hero, yes, Sand King, Rubik, Lifestealer, they have some decent AoE defense against the push, but none of that actually applies to the siege unit itself. So I feel like the siege push from EG can knock down those early towers very effectively.
Speaking of towers, trying to find other heroes to maybe engage in that early push if they find themselves in a bit of a lead. We've seen Arteezy go on that build where we were talking about the puck being very versatile because of the different talents and different builds that you can go for in terms of like this early game fighting or this mid game fighting. We've seen it from Arteezy too on the Razor. You know, sometimes getting the ult rated 6, for example, or sometimes delaying it out. Sometimes going for this Blade Mail and the Aghanim Scepter, or sometimes just going for the more standard, just kind of run at you and actually kill heroes rather than buildings. But the Bat Rider does come out here. It will not be for Evil Geniuses. It's going to be joined over on the side of Newbee. Going to be paired up with a Sand King Lifestealer and a Bat Rider Lifestealer now. So plenty of initiation potential here for the Infest.
This was one of KP's stronger heroes for a long time, and then talking about EG going back to yesterday's series, obviously they ran Razor in both games. And again, this being able to lane strongly, a good matchup against Lifestealer. If the fight goes a bit long, Lifestealer ends up losing all of that damage, and then being able to be a core that other teams generally don't want to fight into, but you don't want to have to be chasing them around. So if they can force those early pushes with the Razor as a focal point, and then Newbee has to fight into it, it's very difficult. And also to mention that Newbee's disables are point target, and Razor tends to do very well against that.
Guys, the SC Queen of Pain is in the pool. You got a mid laner that could be resistant to the Enchantress gank. You got a vehicle for the Lifestealer to go in. Last time, SC's Queen of Pain did get destroyed by the puck, by Sumail. But it's still one of his most comfort hero. It adds a lot. It adds a different angle to the team fight, right? Lifestealer gives you the physical damage, and Queen of Pain gives you the magic. And I think that's a great pick for Newbee. I was actually surprised that EG decided to ban out the Storm, because I think Storm has some sort of weakness against the puck as well as the early Enchantress backstabs. But we'll see how things go.
Interesting ban out here from Newbee too with that Medusa.
Yeah.
Assuming that it could be the Universe Puck, again, without the Drow, but would have the help of an Enchantress, which could also be a
That's
very
definitely a great
formidable
point,
dual
yeah.
offlane. Like, that would be very scary. So, understandable, but Evil Geniuses will still have the option here. I could definitely still see, depending on the hero from Newbee, maybe something like a Legion Commander as well from Evil Geniuses. Tends to do very well against the Lifestealer and the Bat Rider.
Seems like if Newbie ever pick a melee core at this point in time, they're always going to look for that Medusa last ban, simply because it is such a hard counter.
I think they could maybe look at something like an Ember Spirit here. There isn't too much hard lockdown coming from EG. They need some way to kind of take some of the pressure before this Death Ball forms, give them a little bit more map presence.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Death Ball, how about we just take one for ourselves, right? A little bit of silence here up against the Puck. Some pretty heavy nukage coming out here as well, up against the Enchantress too. When you're looking for someone who's not too focused on those right clicks, should be chomped down by a Lifestealer too, so could potentially be a rough game here for Zai, assuming he winds up on the hero.
Yeah, don't underestimate the cast range of the silence, especially out of fog when you're smoke ganking. It seems like Puck is demanding a lot of control. Now you have pretty much everybody except the Lifestealer that has a way to actually deal with the Pucks. And you definitely need that against Sumail. He definitely was the Houdini of that last game.
I think that might have been a bit of a deny pick from Newbee as well. It's something that would have fit EG's lineup potentially pretty well too.
Now Evil Geniuses have to decide what is their tempo going to be, so they will indeed go with the offlane Puck once more. We will get ourselves the Ember Spirit. Speaking of deny picks, thought it might have been something for Newbee. Sumail will be taking it up in the mid lane for EG.
A high amount of mobility on the side of Evil Geniuses, but a huge amount of initiation on Newbee. They've got Sand King, Bat Rider, plus the Lifestealer inside, all leading into a potential pick that turns a Death Prophet push into maybe a straight up early Rax. Jack, actually I'm not going to start with you. Lumi, I'm going to force you to actually take
I've been going
a side
first every time.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been going first
All
every
right,
time.
fine, very well. Jack, you choose first then. Quiet man on the end.
I think Newbee could have some issues with scaling this game. I think they need to get off to a really good start, and the pressure's on them for that. So I like EG's draft this game.
Oh, finally, I'm so glad I get to disagree with him. He's been wrong every time, and I just copy you. No, I'm going to go with Newbee. I like their draft. I think they have a ton of initiation, as you said. I'm just going to try and go for these picks, and I'm not sure if the Ember is really going to find that right timing. It feels like he might come online a bit too late to help out, but we'll have to see.
I feel like this is straight out of MP's playbook. They combine Enchantress plus Ember extremely well. We're going to see towers just get cut off like really, really fast. So definitely going with EG.
All right, going with an NP playstyle, but can Evil Geniuses play it against Newbee in this third game? Toby1 and Merlini, take it away.
It's a good question, Capitalist. I'd love to see who can actually take this one. For me, I'm at least excited to see that it's Newbee again, looking to be the aggressors like we saw them in game number 2. Will it be enough? Will it be enough going up against this EG draft?
I think it's interesting that both teams have chosen to fight head-on, too. No more Drow Ranger, no more Lone Druid. A lot of those heroes have been banned out, and it's going to be a lot of fight versus fight, especially with the Enchantress in the early game that you were so excited about.
I'm always happy to have a good Sproink across the map, and it's all about the Enchantress movement. You don't want to see that mid lane just go completely uncontested, have that one-on-one battle, Sumail versus SC, just be like, yeah, it's always fun to have a 1v1, but it's always better to have those rotations come in and just mix up the pace a little bit. It's not just a light strike array to a kill kind of thing. So yeah, for me, I love good Enchantress, aggressive rotations. Want to see the vision game out from both as well.
And I'm happy we're down to a best of 3.
Yes, yes. Not a whitewash. We're going to burn the midnight oil here. I don't know if anyone's got work tomorrow, but I'm fairly certain they're all calling in sick. We are going to stick around until the end of this series. What do you think about the Death Prophet? We were tossing up a couple of options. With that last pickup, Clinks was one of the other ones we're thinking about going up against the Razor. Do Newbee actually have enough to deal with the Arteezy Razor?
I think so. I think the Lifestealer and Fast Bombs are going to be really strong this game, but they did need some sort of team fight, or else they would just have too much gank and not enough just straight 5-on-5 action, which was mostly EG's issue in the last game. And Newbee discussing a little bit of the early game tactics. Zai going to be the key player for EG in this early game.
With that early Enchantress rotation, because it creates space, right? Like Arteezy has always found so much space to get farm onto this Razor, and then has dictated the course of the game from there. He's just that big frontline tank that no one can properly deal with. However, we don't really have that same kind of, well, essentially in a way we do have that burst potential from Sumail with the Spirit stack, but it's not like a Templar Assassin, it's not like that rotation of Puck. So Universe and Sumail then also have pressure on their lanes to make them work. Is this spreading EG a little too thin across the board, especially when Newbee are able to get their initiation online, they start their jumps, they start getting pickoffs? Can you fight when you're one core down if you're EG?
Definitely so. I think it just relies more so on the Puck, because he's the one that's going to be splitting Newbee up so that they can take these scrappy sort of engagements. So, yeah, start of the game, still awaiting the Horn and the creep spawn, and dealing with Enchantress has been really tough, because we haven't seen Enchantress and Chen really back for a while, and these two heroes always fade in, a little bit of fade out, but with all the neutral changes, and those are by far, I would say, the biggest changes in the last few patches that we've had, it's going to be a whole nother story on how you're going to pop those smokes, defend the lanes, and defend against those waves of creeps.
Just so everyone knows, it is Kaka who is disconnected from the lobby, so we're waiting to try and get him back in. But it looks like Newbee is making the most out of this to continue their discussion and make sure they're definitely all on the same page and ready to go. And they have to be for this lineup. Like, if one of these engagements goes wrong, EG are going to push you, and they're going to push you hard.
I wonder how the mid matchup is going to go. Death Prophet versus Ember is actually not Ember favored at all.
Can you actually get the kill with Death Prophet early on? Because you assume like Ember would have that safety net once he has the Spirit up and running. But potential rotations from both Rubik and Sand King, able to catch him out with Spirit Siphon. Even actually if he does have the Spirit, isn't Silence going to play a big role from SC?
That's the thing. I think Ember struggles a lot versus long duration silence and a lot of physical damage. So Death Prophet, even if she does not do very well in the early game, then it will be Death Prophet favored later into the game.
She's actually really good against both the Ember and the Puck. The fun thing is to see, though, is the Rubik. Haven't really seen a lot of Rubik during this tournament. We've been going for other supports instead. In fact, Tusker was one of the other ones I thought we'd see more and more coming into the playoffs, and we've also seen him kind of back away from being drafted. Wonder why Newbee take the Rubik over something else.
Not particularly sure myself.
It's like an interesting opener. Like you start with the SK Rubik.
It was a very popular opener in the Chinese scene for a while because you can put the Sand King in multiple roles, and Rubik's also flex support. You can roam with them, you can roam in the off lane, you can secure your safe lane.
I suppose he's that good instant control as well. Be able to grab that telekinesis depending on his spacing around Warlock. The ability to return almost any of Warlock's abilities will be very useful in the fights. But to take him over a save, normally Death Prophet is paired up with someone like a Dazzle, for example, or Oracle, someone that actually gives the Death Prophet save, but almost no one in Newbee's lineup is actually able to grant such a thing. There's almost more pressure on SC to get this Yule Scepter up at a decent time, to have something like an Aetherland, something along these lines that will allow him to survive.
So we probably have some viewers that are just joining us. It is different time zones around the world. Do you want to give a summary of what's happened today,
A summary
Toby?
of what's happened. That was Pornage. It was wonderful. Basically, we fought through the lower bracket, so EG had a terrific battle with NP, and were able to come out on top. They did have to go the full distance, and now we sit 1-1'd up in this series, as EG was able to pretty much dominate game one. It actually looked like we're going to have ourselves a complete whitewash. We didn't even hit 30 minutes on the game timer before EG were able to draw their way to victory, and then Newbee came back and were just really superior with split push. With EG going for more of a unique and different draft, the Wind Ranger support from Zai having effect early on, then just completely falling off, and Universe on a very old school hero for him, the Nature's Prophet, not really having the same influence as they would have liked. But a lot of big players coming out from Sumail. I still think like EG are going to be confident, and their mid's going to be in high spirits. Sumail's Puck was superb throughout game two.
Well, perfect timing. Kaga has reconnected the game. Players have their earbuds, headphones in. Let's see where the early TPs, smokes, observers, sentries are going to play.
Yeah, want to see how they actually play the vision, how they play the lanes. And that's something which we kind of broke down almost everything else, but we didn't break down the lanes. You got a Lifestealer Rubik as well as SK. This is the makings of that tri-lane that Newbee liked to go But then that puts KP on the Batrider into the safe lane. Is that actually going to be enough to go up against what could be a potential aggressive Enchantress roam? How does Batrider actually go one-on-one with a puck?
I don't think you go one-on-one there. I think if you have two supports in a safe lane, you're going to have a lot of issues trying to help out the Death Prophet. I think Death Prophet's the key here that you're looking to gank if you're Zai and pressure a lot early.
So you just shore up your safe lane, have the life stealer there, and let KP get as much farm from the side camps as possible?
I would prefer that because I think they could roam in between the safe lane and the mid lane much easier. And of course, Newbee winning out with the Tower War. The towers do look a little bit sweeter and flashier.
Some things never change. Unless EG are now going to spend about $1,000. And then they can win the next one.
Prepare for battle.
All right, so Zai, you want to see that early warding game already with his early TP out?
2 Observer Wards on him, too.
He doesn't actually even use the cover of smoke, just prances his way into the dire jungle.
Oh, 340 Mooseby. You know that no one else is going to beat you over there.
It's okay. It seemed a little indecisive with the way he was running through the tree line, but puts the ward higher up in the lane.
That's near impossible to D-ward if you're Newbee. That's just... Normally you place a sentry like very far south, closer to the river, or closer to the neutral spawns, neither of which are going to catch this ward. And we see Crit also protecting this choke point into the EG jungle. They need to protect the camp so that Zai can get an early creep to start harassing. And normally you do start from around this area if you want to pressure. And we see that smoke already. Kaka with boots first.
They want to be aggressive. They want to get in there. Interesting to also see the movement from SC. The smoke breaks on him, and it's an observer ward for observer ward. Both sides will understand that ward is down, but as Zai starts the D-warding, Newbee may have the opportunity. They want to go in. Kaka needs to get the Burrow Strike, but Faye's going to begin it with the lift. Pick him up, throw him down, Burrow Strike through. There's no slow. Zai, open wounds on him, back to the tree line, but Moogie with one last poor swipe. The Life Stealer shall feast tonight on flesh. And they won't reach the rune in time. Faith, you know what he wants to do. He didn't have the range, however, and he also didn't have the cooldown. Telekinesis was coming off cooldown, so it would have been reliant on that level 1 Burrow Strike to work.
And now the Enchantress has to think about securing her safe lane, and that's not really what you want to do. You want to get kills on opposite cores, but Lifestealer is going to be near impossible for her to gank.
Okay, they haven't deep watered the Observe Ward. Maybe Newbee didn't cotton onto that happening. Unless they brought in their own sentry. They used the other sentry to block up the camp on bottom lane.
Yep, just a pull camp though. So Warlock's going to have a much more difficult time. Looks like the first creep will be a Satyr Tormentor to torture these poor supports.
I was trying to push Kaka out of the jungle. But if you're Newbee, you've got to be happy with this as well, because it means SC's not going to take any extra harassment. So he's able just to go one-on-one with Samael.
Yep. A good matchup for him, for sure.
Yep. So Faith is coming down. They're going to commit. Kaka got the Burrow Strike available. Going to go first onto RTZ. Shadow Word will give a little bit of extra life. Faith still has telekinesis available. The Satyr is on the way from the Enchantress. So if Kaka drops down low, he's going to get hit by it. So is Moogie. RTZ alive. He has enough to survive. The Shadow Word regeneration was too good. There's another Hadouken off cooldown right now. Let it fly. Faith so low. One more attack will do it. Hadouken in 3, 2, 1. Burrow Strike. Hold it off. Let it fly. Can he actually hit the long fly? Faith? The coattails of the Rubik shall not count as a hitbox.
Man, Kaka's been playing so well on this tanking. I think sooner or later it might be ban-worthy material. He's just in perfect positions with these stuns and setting up so many plays for them. I also think the way that he split pushes in the mid-game is very problematic and not something that he can do with most supports. But Enchantress doing her work in the early game. That little bit of HP regeneration too, combined with the Shadow Word, made it near impossible to kill the Razor. And Feast is very good normally, but versus heroes on that low of HP doesn't really do enough. It wasn't enough to finish him off.
Love watching this top lane where KP continues to feed the puck power. He's trying to zone out Universe by getting a lot of sticky napalm charges on him, but because Universe completed a full magic wand, he started with this. He's got 17 wand charges. So even if KP feels like he's got the advantage here, Universe has to get out of jail free card.
The Universe has a lot more base damage, so pretty much KP will not be able to deny that much at all in this top lane, but with 4 sacks, that is way too threatening for him to deal with. And Sumail, he does have the Observer Ward, will spot out Kaka, but he just can't come up close enough to creeps.
Karka's actually in the perfect positioning where the Observer doesn't properly see him until he just moves in and gets hit by the tower. So, why? They have vision on me. I wonder how that happened.
I wonder if he's going to pick up an early level of Slide on the Ember Spirit to perhaps see some...
Just
burrow
try and
strike.
dodge Karka.
Yeah, you can also dodge the Swarm, but the Link will stay on you, sadly.
Well, Karka's still unable to have an influence when he's perfectly visible. Sai wants to continue to farm. Spirit Scythe, just a little bit of harassment onto Sumail. As SC 10 CS up above Sumail, wants to keep harassing him out.
Enchantress needs to spread her creeps out. She has a Golem and a Wildkin, but the Wild Wing just died and not really able to pressure any of the lanes with this. And also,
She's going to smoke.
yep,
But she just smoked right on top of the Dire Observer Ward, so Newbee are very well aware.
it's also an impossible kill because Ember Spirit has no mana. There's no way you get this kill by yourself.
He doesn't even have his bottle yet, and this he's just spamming out because he's already got his bottle. Picks up a Clarity, picks up some raindrops.
It's because he opted for the boots first because he wants to be able to break the Spirit Siphon. So he's not going to die, but his farm is going to be very limited because of it.
Also, Zai knows he can't get the kill over in mid, so instead, move up towards the top lane. Now, there's not a lot of damage out from Universe. He's got a 2-1-1. Nothing unusual about that, but it just means he doesn't pack a punch if he wants to try and do damage to the Batrider.
Faith is just waiting who is going to strike first.
Well, EG are well aware of this. Again, that Observer Ward is still up. It's got another 1 minute left in its life. And Faith, well, okay, Zai, get a solo kill, pick up, throw down, stuns up the creeps. There's no Hadouken available. So Faith back to the protection of his tier 1 tower. That Mud Golem wants to go in deeper. The double Mud Golems will actually split out, but Faith's back to his own tier 2 tower.
Run, baby, run.
Oh, Ember wants to fight, but you got Sand King as an Invis rune. He's ready to go. A quick Burrow Strike. The Spirit Scythe is doing work. The Flame Guard will come up, so Sumail has the protection from the magical damage. But once again, Sumail, short of the money he needs for his bottle, short of any ability and mana to actually push and control this mid lane.
He's just there to survive. He's not really there to get kills. So no deaths, exactly what you want from your Ember Spirit. Yeah, you're going to lose out at CS versus him, but that's okay as long as your Enchantress is getting something. And Zai is forced to run around a lot, but at least he's getting some levels, already level 3 on the edge.
That's good for her. And now she comes up to this top lane. It's where Moogie has come to farm. The Lifestealer still hasn't hit double digits for his last hits, compared to his opposite laner, which is the Puck. 17-11 in for Universe. Had a terrific time on that top lane. Bakaka, they're bringing the reinforcements, and Zai appears to be the one they want. They're not going to claim him, however. Back past the tower, Universe goes further north and starts his own TP. Only back to the tier 1 tower, however, realized he couldn't get past the Newbee lineup.
Enchantress is at that point where she just has ludicrous amounts of move speed because she just keeps getting buffs. It's very difficult to catch her out. Ooh, with the haste rune, it's one of the best ones for Sumail. Threatens a lot of kill potential on the Death Prophet, as well as makes it near impossible for her to drain him. So that's another 2-3 minutes that Sumail should skate by without any deaths.
And maybe a good idea to watch how many charges SC is able to actually, well, accrue for the Spirit Siphon.
The bottom lane's been quiet, and RTZ, with most of the free farm, has to decide what kind of build he wants for this game. We've seen Blade Mail first, I've seen Lances first, I've seen Midas, BOTs, Drums. There's all sorts of different builds that you can go for the Razor. And this game, it's tricky for him. He needs the armor to deal with the Death Prophet and Lifestealer. Blade Mail isn't particularly good versus them, but what other armor item can you get that's not
Newbee's
Blade
picking
Mail?
out the issues on bottom lane. Enchantress has stolen one of the catapults. This is actually quite a large thing with the new changes to the catapults. And Karka, double Burrow Strike. A nice connection, but a bond will hold him together. But Arteezy lassoed up. He will end up falling in Faith. If he can get in range for a telekinesis, needs the vision on crit, doesn't actually have it. It's a level 1 telekinesis, so really slow on the range, but it's enough when SC gets a Spirit Siphon off, so crit will end up falling. A double kill for SC.
Very greedy from RTZ again, not going for the 1 point and unstable currently. It wouldn't have made that big of a difference over there, but he does this often. There's no one for him to lane against, so you actually don't need more levels of the static link this early, but this will slow him down a lot. His farm's actually not particularly good for no one being in the bottom lane for quite some time.
Well, Newbee are going to be very happy with their rotation. Samael pushed the middle lane in a little bit, but Newbee just had the efficiency. Being able to trigger the Shrine for 4 people, put SC back in the lane. Get more and more space for Mugi on that top lane. Now he's got Infest, going to be a lot more difficult for the Enchantress just to straight up gank. Samael, okay. Turn for Searing Chains. SC's doing a lot of damage. Flame Guard still protecting in the physical damage. He jumps up. The damage, it will be enough to survive. With a quick bottle charge and TP home.
Supports weren't even scared. They didn't even fake the TP.
Well, they knew SC was okay. It's going to be even more difficult once he has his Yule Scepter up. We're talking about the fact there's not much of a save for the Death Prophet, but she's had such a good start. Top net worth sitting at 3.6k. Full 700 above the second one, which is the Ember Spirit.
Bottom lane getting pushed pretty heavily. KP, Firefly's almost run out. This tower will fall.
They're going to burn Fortification. It's still available. They do it on 29 HP. KP knows it's not worth coming in range for the denial. Potentially getting caught out by the Dream Coil. But support didn't come in time. Kaka arrives, but it's already a little bit too late.
And a non-greedy build already coming out for Arteezy. Phase boots first for him. No more farming items. Moves going to be pretty key for him. Kite the Lifestealer, kite the Death Prophet. Maybe a phase drone build might be optimal for this stage of the game.
Just keep the movement speed up, keep the early fight items going, and make sure he can tank through everything while he tries to steal a lot of damage. Makes sense. How's Mugi looking on that Lifestealer? Looks like Armlet's going to be his first item of choice. Still needs more time to farm up, but he has bought a lot of space on this top lane. Now contesting Razor for that third net worth position. And with Arteezy on the top lane, support has to arrive. KP, as well as Faith, are on the way under the cover of smoke. They will be able to come up behind Crit. And because they're taking the southern road, they're not actually going to have Crit trigger their smoke until now, so they can move up. They understand that he's got to be nearby, and Faith, well, they move to the other side. They want Arteezy. They don't want Crit. Crit doesn't have his ultimate just yet, so he's no threat to this Newbee lineup. Faith, however, Arteezy with that damage will be. But you get a Rubik in return for both a Warlock and a Razor Death? No, they back up. Samael with a double damage rune has arrived. And they will not take the engagement, Newbee. They're happy at the 1-1 trade.
SCCC was posed near the bounty rune for a fight, but no fight happened there. Although most heroes were there. But Arteezy at least still getting some kills before he goes down in a couple of these fights. Looks like drums will be the build coming out from him.
They bring Arteezy back to that top lane. The Dire Observer Ward is paying dividends. The one sitting in front of that tier 1 tower. Crit does have his level 6, so Newbee, they have a big choice here. Do they want to try and contest this?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Is it worth holding the tier 1 tower?
I think with Exorcism, you definitely can. But with Batrider using Firefly for creeps,
Radiant's middle tower
they're not
is
going to have a
under
big
attack.
tool available to them, and SCCC is not even there. He will blow Exorcism on the mid lane.
Yeah, actually gets Crit. Oh, he faked the first rock drop, hit the second one. SC needs to run. He needs the movement speed of life, and he's got it. So you already bait out the Warlock Golem. SC should not continue to take that punch. He's so low, and Crit actually gets the last tick of damage to ensure the kill. Mugi, however, looking for revenge, won't happen. Doesn't have that control from Kaka. I don't know if really that was the intention of SC to go back and take the last punch from the Golem.
I think he took 2 hits from that.
He did.
Maybe he didn't see the Shadow Word on him. I'm not exactly sure. It was a max Shadow Word from Warlock. You usually don't see that maxed up, so perhaps it's expecting level 2, maybe 3 perhaps. Early upheaval, often the choice for these Precision 5 Warlocks.
Newbee's coming into the mid. They're looking for Crit. SC's able to get the slow from the Spirit side, but combining up with the open winds. Kaka, nice Burrow Strike, actually keeping Razor out of the play on the back lines, but in comes your Ember Spirit, perfect side of the fence, into the double Spirits. Samael, so much damage to give him a double kill with Zai behind him. They may just have enough to wipe Newbee underneath their own tier 1 tower. Faith running distraction plus disable with that telekinesis grab.
Yeah, that small mistake by Death Prophet, and costing them huge as EG get away with a big team fight there.
And they actually pushed the towers as well. Took the tier 1 tower after that top fight. And now the mid tier 1 tower, that's all the tier 1 towers lost from Newbee. A dangerous prospect when you're only 13 minutes into the game and the Enchantress is getting momentum.
Certainly so. And keep in mind that the kill for the Death Prophet also went to the Warlock. You don't really want to feed Warlock these early kills too. Get him that early Midas and things just get worse and worse. You want to keep him as broke as possible.
You want broke, you can look at the Rubik. He's sitting on 1k gold. The other one who's really short of his item is Kaka. That bottom lane Sand King still praying for a Blink Dagger. It took him forever to actually complete his magic wand.
They've been forced to run around a lot and try and put out fires around the map, but they didn't really yield too many returns. And also the Batrider has been forced to fight a lot with him. However, he is closing in on his Blink Dagger after this wave. He should be able to get it. So now perhaps time for them to smoke up. You make use of their Infest Bombs to try and pick off some heroes. However, I'm not sure how many heroes they can exactly kill with the Infest Bomb. He's not that farmed on the Lifestealer. He also has no Blightstone on the Lifestealer, which I think would be really crucial for getting these picks during that very short duration disable from the lasso.
Even just a casual one would be nice. Doesn't need to convert to anything later on if he doesn't want to.
He's also versus low armor heroes, like Ember is pretty low armor, Enchantress is very low armor as well.
Bottom lane Kaka, run through the tree line, Sparrow strike down, follow the Fatal Bonds, crit, hard side. The Centaur's at the right place at the right time on the right bat channel. So you kill off the Sand King. The pressure will now come to the tier 2 tower. Zai does need a little bit of mana. The one charges will give it to him, so now at least he has Rock. He won't have enough for any kind of combination. And no one's really running mana boots. Even Universe is shy of his Blink Dagger.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And they're doubling up on the drums too. One on Zai, one on Arteezy. I think this T2 push would be much more difficult without it, but they also have level 4 untouchable on Zai in case they do want to go
Dream Coil is out, KP being caught out, Moogie wants to go in, the Rock will drop, but SZ turning on the Exorcism, they want to retreat back to safety, their tier 2 tower, but Smell won't allow it, here comes your proper Rock, in she goes, Arteezy is the double kill. It was the control from Crit that does the work. And keep the movement forward.
Very nice retreat by them too. And there's that Observer Ward to the left, so if you TP to the Shrine, even if you have the smoke, it's going to pop, and they were able to get the coil onto the Batrider, which is just devastatingly bad for him. That was supposed to be the Blink reveal, the Infest Bomb. That was supposed to be their ticket to get a hold on this mid-game. But now you can transition easily into more T2s with the drums or the Roche with the Max Untouchable on Zai. He's already prepared for this.
This is a terrible position right now for Newbee. They do have the heroes which will allow him to come back in, but moments like this, your Infest Bomb, which just ends with a Rock drop, holding him in position, and the retreat to the tower, but Samael, the perfect time to come from behind. And you can try and drop that Rock in return from the Rubik, but it just, nope.
And also, they use Exorcism. Death Prophet uses Exorcism and then immediately died. That is your worst nightmare as a Death Prophet. You're already struggling to get farm, but you need towers, you need to win some more team fights, and they're doing none of the above.
Double damage!
It's wonderful for you, Enchantress. She has the range creep as well.
Her voice is so happy.
I just love how she actually prioritizes keeping this siege creep. As long as she can keep this up, every time they win the fights, you got more and more push.
They need that extra little bit of damage too, because they don't have great tower hitters. Razor's like so-so, but he doesn't have great range. Ember is the worst, and Enchantress she has the good range, but she doesn't have any attack damage or any survivability. So having these extra little bit of creeps to reinforce their T2 siege is pretty imperative, and they will try round 2 with another smoke. Our Firefly has just been popped,
But they got the target. They have Arteezy as well as Zai, but no, KP doesn't want it.
The problem is if he goes on the Enchantress, then he gets linked up immediately by the Razor, and the Lifestealer will immediately die. And if you go on the Razor, you probably won't kill the Razor, and both of you guys will die, because you'll get the Unstable Current as soon as you lasso him. So there was no good target for him.
Lose-lose situation. EG probably understood that as well. They Radiant scanned the bottom entrance through the river, so they understood that Newbee wasn't coming from the south. They move in force to the north, and Newbee have to back out.
They definitely need to blink on Sand King to be able to have some of these fights. They need to lure them into a position where they can turn around with Epicenter. I think that's the big X factor in these fights that they really need to win a team fight. It's not going to be extra.
They may not have the time. SC, the drum charge gets triggered. They'll see him. The jump forward and Dream Coil commits, even connects onto Faith as well. Arteezy going for the double kills, letting SC die to the rest of his team while hunting down Faith past the tier 2 tower. And this just turns into a push and more dominance from EG.
And this quick pace of game is what Newbee fears the most. They aren't able to match the early roaming of the Enchantress, and they don't have any time to farm with the support items. One of the biggest weaknesses of a Sand King is very useless in this 5 to 20 minute phase of the game if you don't have a Blink Dagger. How's he supposed to initiate? How's he supposed to escape in these fights? How's he supposed to get off a good Epicenter?
Even if he does now, Arteezy has just brought up the Blade Mail. So anyone you want to initiate on, especially if it's the Razor, you're just not going to be able to kill him.
Yep, now he has plenty of armor.
Courier still has to make the full trip back out, so they have that opportunity while he doesn't have the Blade Mail. Kaka in through the rear, Burrow Strike needs to get the Epicenter off. It's the slow and the damage, but the rocket fatal fall! It's huge with this mirror jump! It is an absolute disaster in the mid lane. Run away, Newbee, as fast as you can, but there may be no port, a safe one. Well, jump is on a Wild Wing, but it's a neutral. That can be killed, it can be claimed, and the Impetus will do the work. The Slide of Fist doesn't do enough damage. The armor toggle from Mugi gets him back to the tier 3 towers. But you could see Warlock just winding up that Golem for the punch.
And you mentioned it's like, why pick the Rubik? He's not that huge team fighter that they need. Instead, we see the Warlock in the perfect position. He's just outside of the map, and look at that Remnant with Fatal Bonds. My goodness.
Brutal. Savage. Pulled.
Yeah, the Veil too. Oh my. Oh.
Well, consolation prize will be the Golem. At least he gets 100 gold for that.
Newbee still have some life left in them. Sand King very close to his Blink Dagger. Kaka just needs 300 gold.
They just need those jumps to work then. But how do you do that when EG, they're not giving you the opportunities until they have the Golem up. And then it's
more
you got to take a 5-on-5 fight.
It's you bait out the rock. You infest bomb on somebody. You let your Batrider die because there's no way he's going to survive that. Your life stealer has magic immunity, and then after that, you go in with the Epicenter, you go in with the Exorcism, and then that's how you win the fight. I don't really foresee them winning a fight in any other way because I think they're the ones that are going to be forced to jump onto EG, not the other way around. If Newbee wait too long, then Death Prophet or any other hero will just get blown up by the Puck combo with the Veil on the Ember.
The pings are coming under Roshan at the moment. Another point where Newbee will have to look. The Ultram Universe are keeping a very close eye on it.
Okay, there's a smoke. Finally, they have the Blink Dagger on Kaka. This is their time to make a play. They need this to work out.
Okay, do they fight or do they Roche? That's the question.
They have to fight. Their Roches, it's not good.
Okay,
not
well,
good enough.
The fact that SC just Crypt Swarmed the mid lane, think they understand what's going on, and the Radiant Scan actually gets triggered as well. So even more information coming the way of Evil Geniuses. They know exactly where Newbee is attacking from, and they will dodge. The Razor pushing the bottom, the Enchantress pushing the top. So they'll let Newbee have that mid-tier 1 tower and waste a smoke.
And now it goes back, do you want to do the Roche? This T1 tower is not even down though. SEC slowly trying to right-click it, but this is slow. They're getting so much out of the side lanes, and their position has been revealed.
Well, there goes the tier 1 tower. That's a minion army pushing the top lane to the top tier 2 tower. While that's happening, Newbee might feel about retreating, so EG should understand exactly where they're going to go. And with that, they smoke up, they look to come through the rear. Quick observe waters underneath the Dire Sentry. Obviously, Faith doesn't have the extra vision, needs to run or turn around to get some level of control, but the perfect silence is out. No way to reply, because the jump comes so quickly.
I don't think they can think about Roche though. Their right-click damage is just really low. Their like objective taking is okay.
Well, take the fight. You've got the Golem up and running.
Yeah.
Just push, get Newbee to fight you. If they don't, then you just keep pressuring the towers. Use the Enchantress, Stolen Creeps to push.
They've been very aggressive about using all their jump charges. Razor's almost out. Enchantress is almost out. But they've claimed a lot of T2s with what seems to be a very poor pushing lineup. And potentially they can just get Ags on Razor and then try and end the game in a timely manner before Newbee can get their big team fight items.
Do you feel like they need to be pressured to actually build the Ags or just feel confident enough in the team fights?
Their tower push is just so weak that you have to have some sort of building hitter.
Well, the Academ Scepter would fill up for that. But it does add the way. That's a spillage.
The only mistakes he makes are out of game.
Okay, so if he messes up the next team fight, it's because he got monster in his eye. The retina starts to burn.
Ah, good old monster. Just wait till you queue someone up on the wrong server. What? What are you giving me that shake of head, Toby?
Nothing, my lady.
That was an epic moment. I can't believe that actually happened. That sounds like just a fable.
See, that's what you need for the hype off. That's exactly the
Throwing
moment
monster
you need
at
for the
people?
hype. That's exactly what you need. The classic moments of history of Dota. And then those players retire. Or one of them at least.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah. So let's think a little bit more about this game. We are now, 22 minutes into it. EG are in a commanding position, holding control of the map. Is there a late game that Newbee can play for?
You can't think that far ahead. You have to survive the early game.
Okay.
You lose T2, you lose Roche, you get Axe on Razor, you have to defend the high ground. You can't think about 20 minutes into the future. It will not last that long.
Okay, so high ground defense then.
High ground defense, yeah.
How do you itemize and position yourself to actually defend high ground? You seem to have a decent amount of clearance with like Fade Bolt and Crypt Swarm. Most creep waves shouldn't survive getting into the high ground.
Theoretically, but Razor with a heal, a double heal too. You have the Nature's Tennis and you have the Shadow Word. Those are very good at sustaining through this sort of spam that normally would be good enough to thwart any sort of high ground push. But the problem with Newbee is like they have big team fight over this. If you cast Exorcism, they'll just run away, push 30 seconds later. If you waste an Epicenter or waste a Lasso, it's also the same story. So they have to be able to hit all of these exactly as they need to.
Not an easy thing, especially when we saw a couple of hiccups coming up through game 2. It was the SK of the man who'd actually disconnected at the moment, which is Kaka, missing some critical burrow strikes. This game has been a little bit better for him for his stuns and his epicenter channels. There's been very few interruptions for him when it comes to that, but the positioning, the blink deck is still so long that we haven't really felt the real influence of what the SK is capable of.
I've seen a lot more EG jerseys in the crowd than Newbees. Do you even have a jersey? I guess I haven't really seen too many people that.
I don't know if it's available in this shop. maybe it's just EG throwing away jerseys. Hey everyone, get some EG free merchandise. You see their Twitter promoting that out all the time. It's like, what's your name?
They're not that generous. Please do. They're American. Corporate greed.
PPD has to pay for all of his flights. So yeah, it's the only way to do it.
So will you do business, Toby? America indeed. So we have some issues of his comp keeps resetting from KP, speaking about Kaka, so it might still be a little bit longer.
Yeah, hopefully not too long. Everything is still pretty stable here. I don't think either of these teams are going to get too shaken out by this. It's a pause. We've been through this kind of stuff before.
I think it's way worse for Newbee, this sort of pause, because your mentality is sort of in the sort of sense that you can't lose a fight. If you lose a big fight, this game is probably lost. Like if you get 4-0, 5-0, so you can't lose that moment of concentration. Whereas EG, yeah, they can afford to give up a few deaths here and there. It's not that big of a deal for them.
At the same time, I don't know. Like it seems with Newbee, like we saw with the previous pause, like Newbee was there. They were working through scenarios. That was even just the draft stage. So SC keeps the team pretty well focused. I don't know if they're going to slack off a little bit in their mindset to play, or if this actually buys them more time to consider the better plan. Like, how do we actually go against this? Do we want to go for like the same kind of stuff we're talking about? Do we try and play for the late game? Do we have enough confidence in just our counter push abilities alone to hold them out, and then we play for the 45, 50-minute win, as opposed to let's just deal with what we've got in front of us?
What you're speaking of is the mentality of like, should they commit to more farming items or more team fighting items?
Yeah,
I think it's definitely team fighting items. If you go for a Midas right now, you just lose. So there's not really that other great of an option for them, right?
Yeah.
You have to build team fight. You have to win the team fight.
Well, the only other
It's as simple as that.
The only other thing is the initiation items over the strength items. So,
and we have a G.
Yeah, we have good to go. So let's restart it up and get back into the game. So when
we're
we
back.
last left this story, EG were pushing top tier 2 tower, and Newbee was scrambling to get their other side lanes pushed out to relieve some of the pressure.
And with a very decisive 10,000 gold lead for EG, all the T2s have been taken down, and they are still 2,000 gold away from Razor's Scepter. I think that's the big item that they're missing, combined with the Aegis of the Immortal from the Newbee. They have to take a fight, though. You cannot wait and just wait to get siege. I think there's too much mobility from EG. They can exit the fight at will, I think. Razor's a very fast hero, especially with the double Moose Speed build. You have Ember Spirit who can just Remnant out, and Puck, who's one of the most elusive heroes in the game. So, like, if you just wait for your high ground, they're gonna just kite you endlessly.
Well, they got one position where they can fight this one. They're going for it. It's the Observe Ward, the high ground that gives them the vision on Arteezy. Blink, Lasso, it's the Infest Bomb. Arteezy, the Burrow Strike will bring him down. Newbee, heeding your advice, move out, find a kill. Now they look towards Roshan. SC even commits the Exorcism. They don't want EG pushing high ground with the advantage of the Aegis.
And there's no smoke, it looks like, from the Radiant side, and EG are just gonna have to let this one go for free.
Crit's coming over. Push down the sentry ward at least. There's a troll coming in to get a little bit of extra vision. Orb from Samael. He snatched one Aegis today, but with that orb down, maybe it's not possible anymore. Another troll. Crit fakes the rock. Roshan almost dead. It is on the ground. Aegis Immortal is there, but here goes your rock. The damage is split with the Fatal Bonds. Where's your return? It doesn't even really exist. It was a return chaotic offering from Faith that creates more space with a dream call from Samael. It's the dream. Bakaka wants to go back in. He will with the epicenter of Burrow Strike. The trading off right now. It's a 2 for 2, but with the Aegis Immortal, Lifestealer back to the world of the living. Samael chasing SC under the shrine. He'll trigger it, but it's all too late. Nuki, he needs more kills. Looking for Samael, but Samael is just Universe is way too quick. Blinking up, getting away, and then TPing out to safety.
Wow, that's about as bad as it gets. I did not foresee them being able to get a kill on the Razor for just Lasso. That's all they needed to commit to that fight.
It was the ward. They had one place where they had vision. That's all they had, and they made it work.
Even without the ward, if they see Razor farming, I still think they go for it. Even if they don't know that no one's behind them, they still go for it. And
so we look at it again.
There was no orb there, so they didn't have any vision inside. You can't blink in when you don't have no idea how slowly the Rosh is going down.
Fate's positioning was so good. He hit 3 heroes with that chaotic offering and also caught out Samael on that Ember Spirit.
Yep, and he gets silenced up by the long duration silence and is dead to rights. Kaka, big epicenter coming on through, and yeah.
I can correct my call with Universe being on the puck. He was the man who got the dream call off in that fight.
Oh, now the gold lead has tightened to less than 7,000 off the back of that, and EG's dream of going high ground before 30 are dashed after that.
And it's going to be more. Like, it's the confidence for Newbee to push across the river. Moogie's taking the tier 1 tower on bottom lane with no contest from EG. And they know they don't want to. KP, Firefly's up. He'll see the Observe Ward planted down. And this is a critical thing to lose, is vision. EG need this to know when Newbee push out to see when this Batrider's looking for an Infest Bomb.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of things that can prevent the Infest Bomb from killing the Razor. He did go for the drums and the Blade Mail, but Blade Mail, you usually get Lasso before you can pop anything, and that little bit of armor is not going to really help you too much.
Samael can give his Lincolns. Like, that's one thing they could do.
But he could have also just built the Lincolns himself to begin with, and then you don't have to worry too much about the force type, and it provides you a fairly decent HP buffer while giving you some sort of semblance of armor.
Yeah.
Again, the Blade Mail is not that great versus heroes with huge amounts of lifesteal, Lifestealer himself, and the Spirit Siphon from the Death Prophet, as well as being able to use yourself, being invulnerable while dishing out.
But as you said, like, he needed to have a little bit of extra armor. He still needs to have the Aghanims for the push.
There's still plenty of other items. You can go like Solar Crest, let's say. Solar Crest has been insanely popular on cores, and it looks like they are prioritizing on the Warlock, but I don't think that Blade Mail was the item.
Well, Newbee are going to enjoy this moment. See how long that moment does last. As EG will slowly start to balance things out, even though both Gold and Experience is starting to level out between the two teams at around the 0 mark. And SC will push the top lane. Catapults there as well as the creep wave. EG are arriving on the bottom lane with a Stolen Dire Catapult. Has to be KP, the first man to TP in, has his Firefly available, looking for the target, and they are going to find Universe. They may also see the remnant of the Ember Spirit in the tree line. So KP, how confident do you feel to wait for Sumail, he ain't jumping to that. There's no way. Everyone's retreating back out again. And it's the Rubik Golem that got pushed down the top lane that's just forcing the lane. I think a little bit harder for Sumail to come back.
Surely. And I think Sumail wanted to make the same approach that he did near that T2, be able to wrap around from behind and catch stragglers just in case. You can always throw a Remnant back if you are a little bit scared. And now Mugi finally completing a little bit more burst with the Desolator. He doesn't have any anti-Razor items, but it does synergize best with the Bat Rider. He just needs to be able to kill people during lasso.
The quick pops, that's what they need.
Ghost Scepter, I think, is actually pretty good too for potential later on versus the Infest Bomb if they can afford it. But the problem with that is it doesn't provide that much armor before you complete it. Ghost Scepter itself not particularly good if you can't pop it.
Well, for now, Sumail is focusing on getting his damage up, so focusing onto the Maelstrom. Puck is going for his Aghanim, so they're both going to go for the Ags upgrades. Both Puck as well as Razor. And there's your Solar Crest now completed on the Warlock.
The ads for Puck is interesting here. It's like Death probably usually doesn't care about sitting in the coil, let's say, but it will guarantee a lot of damage stolen for the Razor. But the problem is I don't know if the Razor's going to survive. He doesn't have BKB. He's also not going for the BKB. He was at the same point in his item build when they were pushing the T2 right after the pause, and that was a while ago. Still about 2,000 gold away, or maybe 1,000 gold away now from his Scepter, but
they're coming again. They want to fight again. That BKB just got freshly completed for SC. So his immunity is there. Won't be as concerned about the Warlock. Also got to keep your eyes on that Rubik. Can't believe actually how many times Faith has been able to steal the Golem and then return it in the fights. I think it's got a 3 for 3. He's attempted it.
It's
quite
not
high.
been keeping track.
It's quite high for him.
It's pretty impressive without having any range increasing items or
no
mobility
blink,
items.
no force stuff. He's just got Glimmer Cape. Jump in, Dream Calls, nice over on 2, but KP triggers the BKB, still with the Life Stealer inside, jumps over, Lasso, they find the Razor, the Rock will drop, it connects over on Faith, only steals Spirits, tries to jump back in again, but it's TG losing 2, the damage from SG, as well as Mugi is just too high. Universe and Sumail on the run, Sticky Napalm will make this very, very difficult for Sumail. Searing Chains will keep the Bat Rider in position, and then he Spirits backwards. But how far can he go? Far enough to get away from the rest of Newbee. And TP out safely under the cover of fog.
Just wasting a little bit of their time, sending them on a wild goose chase. But again, Razor dies at the start of the fight. They try and drop the rock. Still, it's not enough damage prevention from them. They need more items to buff up the Razor. And whether it's like Lotuses, Solar, which they did have, but I don't think they were able to cast on the Razor in time. It's just extremely bad for the Razor when he just dies at the start of the fight without getting any of his spells off.
But it's funny too, like where the start of the fight is. Like Universe is starting the fight on like the far eastern side of that dire jungle, and Newbee, they almost accept it. They have enough to get him out. The BKB was able to protect KP. Second they see Razor, they shift everything onto Arteezy. He's the primary target, #1, bring him down, and then they deal with everybody else.
He's our best anti-BKB at this point, and with Rage always going to be a problem and 2 BKBs on the other cores, then they need some anti-BKB damage. But if you kill Razor to start, you're going to lose the fight.
Yeah. And there's nothing Arteezy can really do about it. What's he going to do? Like
he had to itemize better against this particular situation of being Lasso Infest Bomb. But he thought that they were far ahead enough that he could go for a more high ground sieging build. But unfortunately, it hasn't panned out for them because of that one pickoff in the mid lane.
Are they capable of doing that though? Because it seems these fights keep happening for Newbee on their side of the river, but outside the base. They're getting better positioning on the map when it happens. Can EG just force this into a focus point? Do they just force it towards the tier 3 towers?
No way.
As a 5-man team.
Lasso past the T3s into their shrines is an impossible fight for EG to win at this moment.
Well, it seems like fighting outside the base is also impossible with the Razor.
It just takes a little bit better kiting. If they have a 4-staff on the Razor to get some distance in between him and the Lifestealer, then he can survive. He can start linking up the Lifestealer, render the Lifestealer useless, and turn around and dish out some damage. But he needs to survive that initial burst again and again. And it needs to be consistent, too. It can't be like, oh, we got lucky with whatever, interrupting the Bat Riders blink, or we got lucky with Razor facing the right
Oh,
way.
the jump. They found another one. It's going to be the Warlock. Shadow Word is the only thing stolen by Faith. Roshan will spawn up in 36 seconds.
But perfect timing from these fights from Newbee.
They can find another one.
This is...
Do they actually find Zai with the Observer Ward? It's just far enough away, but they see the camps being pulled.
They can't get the lifesteal into the fight. No Infest and no Blink on him, so they're not really looking for picks right now, looking for objectives. Roshan wasn't up, but again, the pick comes right before Roshan. Without Rock, there's no chance of them saving the Razor. But looking at the defensive items, there is finally a Pike up on Enchantress, so we could be looking for that item to save the Precious Razor, or perhaps the Solar Crest on crit, which could also potentially save the Razor.
Well, there goes the tower. Roshan should be coming up in just a second. But Newbee, they're not scouting it out. The ping is coming in. But instead, they're looking for a fight. They're looking for just one person to be out of position. Lasso in 15 seconds. It's a decent amount of time. And they smoke. They're coming out. Zai's smoke, is it going to break? He's so close to Kaka, and Kaka is the man currently holding the life stealer inside of him.
And they have the ice armor onto Razor. This could be enough for him potentially to survive the burst from the life stealer. And Mugi going all out offensive with the Crystallis, double downing on being able to kill people during an Infest Bomb.
Now he really wants that KP. Able to blink himself away before the plasma field's able to connect. EG understanding exactly where Newbee is. They pushed the bottom lane in so hard that the tier 3 tower dropped to 480 HP.
It's a little bit scary for them. They can't lose shrines this early.
Yep. That tier 3 tower has to remain alive, so SC's trying to do the counter push at the moment. EG establishing vision dominance plus positional dominance on the Newbee jungle. And Newbee are on the hunt. Underneath their own shrine, they might be happy to find this one blink lasso. RTZ needs to survive the rock. It connects on 4. The Fatal Bonds will also connect him up as well, but the damage is done. Razor is down, and this feels like a very similar situation. SC with all the damage, all the immunity. Samel can pick up the backline, sure, but the damage is still there and moving from Newbee. The puck all forward, a quick spirit jump. Yule Scepter will protect that Death Prophet while she's trapped inside the Dream Coil of Universe. The Epicenter does almost no damage, but it's a 2-for-1 trade-off. Catch the extra one, which was crit, inside the Roshan pit. It's KP hunting him down. So 3 heroes down, no buybacks available. If Newbee want to, they can just move in for Roshan.
They don't have Exorcism, so that may be making them a little bit more hesitant. But again, they didn't throw everything onto the Razor. They threw one extra thing, which was the ice armor, but this is like the 3rd time he's died with very little increase in his items. They need far more than that. They need to dump perhaps a Lincoln Sphere on him. They need to perhaps even preemptively throw Shadow Word on him, I would say at this point. And of course the Solar Crest, which just has not been enough. Razor, it's a simple story for Newbee. Kill Razor, win the fight.
Just rinse and repeat every single time. And because of that Firefly vision, they're able to find him.
His net worth is drastically low at this point, too.
What's he actually hit? So he's sitting just shy of 11,000, but above him on 16K almost each is the Death Prophet and the Lifestealer. You still have Sumail a long way up, sitting at 18,000-ish. And he's adding pressure to the bottom lane. Someone's going to come back for this. Roshan is only just now beginning for Newbee.
Oh, if he gets a free T3 out of this, I'm not sure if that Roshan is going to be worth it for them.
Yeah, it really may not be. No one's coming back to defend it. They have to use the fortification. Kaka, he's now starting his TP. Actually canceled his TP. He's sticking around. No one's forcing out the lane. Instead, they get the Blink Lasso. Is it really happening again? Arteezy with the Epicenter and the Death Prophet Exorcism. Arteezy's gone for 51 seconds. No buyback available, but the tier 3 tower is dropped on the bottom lane. So the shrines become exposed. And KP will come back to defend. Without the Exorcism, is it still worth looking to the high ground?
Threaten, at least, I would say, with the Razor buyback. But this time, probably the most useful of Arteezy's deaths, as he trades his life for a T3 tower. But with the Aegis in tow, it's just, what, maybe a minute and a half until Death Prophet extras them up, and then they're realistically going to have to think about defending high ground themselves.
Yep.
This game has just completely turned on its back as Newbee have just found way better fights.
That's why Sumail is doing his thing on bottom. Continuously pressure. Dodge any kind of gank coming in from Newbee, but keep the presence of at least one of those initiation heroes on bot lane, KP being that one.
It's very hard, though, to split push against a Bat Rider with Lasso and Infest. So, or even the Sand King with Infest Bomb. They can pick off any hero that's not the Ember Spirit. And even the Ember Spirit with a Force Staff into a Burrow Strike, he could potentially die. Maybe not once he gets his other armor item. He did go for Flame Guard Absorption, not the armor talent at level 20, so he is going to need a little bit more armor on that Ember Spirit.
Which is why he's building in for the Shiva's Guard.
Yeah, but ideally you want the Razor to be able to build this. Like, where his item progression been? His drums are useless right now because
he finished Aghanims, all right? He got to Aghanims, man. The BKB can come shortly after.
That's just more HP for Lifestealer to feast, though. Is BKB even going to save him?
At this point of the game, he's being initiated before he could even hit the button for BKB.
Yeah.
And if he does hit the BKB button, he's still lassoed up, and the physical damage of the Lifestealer rips him apart. Same with the Exorcism. You've got two huge sources of physical damage coming in from Newbee, where immunity from magic, it only stops the pop.
Yeah, it might actually be time to build something like Halberd. It's not the greatest item on Razor, but a lot of the items overlap. Like, you already have a Shiva's. You're not going to be able to farm an AC. The Solar Crest has already been built, so your actions are your options are very limited. Flads is a very poor choice with no melee heroes on his team, and yeah,
very smart from Smail. TP'd out just as Newbee brought almost their entire force to the bottom lane. The only one that's not there is Kaka, who starts his TP. Smail starts his Sleight of Fist, actually connected on Kaka with it, but didn't connect on the Searing Chains. So Newbee pushed to the tier 2 tower on bottom lane. But EG are now doing what they like to do. Let's do a split push. Look for another tier 3 tower if they can claim it.
they can't take the shrines though with ease. They can only do that if Newbee aren't there at all, but they still know they cannot take a team fight. Evade, evade, evade. It's going to be the next name of the game.
You just have Arteezy with his Aghanim's ulti already going on the fight. So if he does get grabbed, at least he does some level of damage.
Like 10 strikes of Eye of the Storm.
Something like that. Kaka right behind him. Has the Burrow Strike available as it actually hits the stun. Samael will get into the tree line thanks to this little remnant away. Arteezy starts his TP out and will succeed.
Close. And it seems like Kaka is actually going for more Disable too, more instant cast too. He already has a Yules to pop the link, as now he's going for a Scythe of Vice on the Sand King. And he's pretty well on his way towards it. His net worth is 8, but it's still very, very high, all things considered.
He's going to end up triggering every Lincoln Sphere that EG will want to buy if he can even afford them.
Yep. Normally he goes for the Ags, but he doesn't really need to escape this game because EG aren't hunting him down at all. It's Kaka doing the hunting.
There's going to be more hunting as well with KP if he can pick up that Shadow Blade of his. Can get in close, as we can see on the graphs, the advantage. The experienced one swings and shows the story a lot better for Newbee. A long way ahead. And they're coming in. With the Cheese on the Death Prophet, she's very confident to hit the front lines, but Octarine as well. It's a lot of regeneration. And the Lifestealer is 100 gold, so once this tower will drop, he'll have enough for the full Bloodthorn.
The Bloodthorn's great for multiple reasons. Firstly, it gets rid of the Solar Crest evasion onto the lassoed Razor, and secondly, just really good at popping Lincolns and just dealing with these elusive heroes like the Puck and Ember Spirit, who need to be silenced for long durations of time in order to be killed. So, Aegis will not be of great use for them. It will time out shortly.
It's just about getting control of the map back again. There's no reason to force any kind of high ground fight. You can wait for the next Roshan, because he may spawn up in 3 minutes, he may spawn up in 6. It's just the timer they have to wait for. But in the meantime, Newbee are building up bigger and bigger with the Bloodthorn done. Mugi is able to have some really good control against that Puck, who's only got the Yule Scepter to try and dispel it. His supports can't really help out. There's no Lotus Orbs to help out just yet. They need more time. And while time goes on, initiation also gets better. There's that Shadow Blade I was talking about onto KP. With BKB, they can't interrupt his initiation. The Aghanim Scepter is there for Universe, but the initiation from KP, when he jumps in, they kill him on the spot. It's not about a drag back for Newbee. This will be easier too for Kaka. Crit can't do anything. Shadow Words himself up, so that'll end up getting stolen by Faith. Doesn't want to commit anything larger, because if he does, he'll end up just giving it over towards the Rubik. So quite a simple kill for Newbee.
Still, they keep looking for +1. They know that Warlock isn't terribly effective at pushing out lanes at himself. He's just trying to cover someone's tracks, just in case they get jumped, which was the Ember Spirit in this case.
SC trying to be really quick on Universe. Couldn't get an attack in, hence the blink away was successful.
Now more anti-split pushing items coming in so that Death Prophet can finally go for that huge culminating fight outside of the T3 tower. That's what they're aiming for very, very shortly, so they can sweep a team fight into a T3 push and get that much closer to victory.
Inch by inch, get one game up in the grand final. You'll be happy with that.
It's kind of sad that the Lifestealer hasn't had to build any anti-Razor items. Razor is seen as a hard counter to Lifestealer, but this game
you don't need it. Like Razor is deleted for the fight at the very start.
Wow, BOT2's committed by the Death Prophet.
Well, it's probably the only way she can get directly into the fight at the start.
Now they can have extra damage combined with a lasso. Now they can just TP her in with Exorcism to catch a hero like the Razor, even if he BKBs and tries to run away. But now Sumail is still retaining the net worth lead despite EG losing a lot of map control over the last 10-20 minutes.
Well, Sumail spent most of his time doing what, well, we've seen Naga do earlier today. Split push, split push, split push. Keep Newbee on the back foot, keep Newbee wondering if they can push him without having a level of trade. And this is what they want to do. There's that BT's going to work. Arteezy, he doesn't get to do anything at all. Blade Mail was triggered, but they just don't care. As you said, the regeneration's just too high. And now they're going to try and force the buyback. It's already a 13,000 net worth Arteezy. He'll have to spend 1,200 to get back into this fight, and he has no other choice. SC with Exorcism is going to force into the tier 3 tower. So either you let this mid-Rax go, or you buy back on the Razor. So the jump in, quick slide of fist, the damage on the SC quite high. Remember, he's still got the cheese. Defensive Yule Scepter up to start with, and they just force staff him away. And Glimmer Cape for safety.
T3 still up though, but is Razor even that integral to EG's defense?
They're pulling the rock skids. Go out, go back in again. Look for the opening.
Their team fight's much weaker though. No Infest, no Exorcism. Lasso just cooled down, but might as well play it a little bit safe. Roshan is so close to respawning.
Well, they can still just rely on KP. Like, he's infested inside of him at the moment. Now, so they can still go for the jump with the lasso.
However, it's EG's turn now. They have to be able to take a fight now, or else the impending Aegis push might be their doom. How do they actually initiate these fights? I think it's just all up to the Ember Spirit to just cause havoc everywhere. Stop blinks, preemptively pop BKBs, and just enter and exit the fight at their will so that Razor can finally come in and nullify the effects of the Lifestealer. But I don't know if Sumail can do everything on his own.
Well, they're going to try it. 5-man smoke up. Roshan could have already come in. Kaka, the Burrow Strike and Blink Away, actually broke the smoke of Evil Geniuses. He was so close and didn't even know. Roshan's not up just yet. KP already triggering the BKB, moves forward and finds the target, dragging back the Warlock with the Burrow Strike. The control is just too good. Mookie, the game is asking for somebody to kill him.
Somebody kill this man. Yeah, Moogie, I think his build is just like incredibly ballsy too. Just not a fear in the world, just relying 100% on KP's control of the fight, and it has paid off tremendously for him. If you back down for defensive items, you might not be able to kill the Razor in time and keep him in this realm of poverty.
And that is the understanding, right? Like, you understand your control time, you understand the amount of damage, and you have to keep the two of them together. Now Roshan will fall, so Aegis and Cheese to be dropped. They've already got one cheese over in SC, so someone else can take the secondary cheese. Looks like KP's preparing himself for that. So Aegis Immortal into the Lifestealer, and KP has the cheese. This is becoming almost impossible for EG to implement it, like actually execute enough damage in the fights to kill off these newbie heroes.
I think that's where Enchantress comes in. Enchantress has been a silent farmer in this game, still holding up position 8, but at a...
Oh, Kaka. He sees Universe. The Observer Ward saw Universe go directly into the tree line.
They need the damage to back it up, though.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming on the wings of the Batrider. Back underneath the Observer Ward for just a second. The Spirit's in the corner. Universe starts his TP. KP too late into the Firefly. Just too late.
Ember Spirit is still close by, though, if KP just wants to search a little bit higher. Sumail will not take any chances and will exit the fray. Ooh, Arcane Rune. It's pretty nasty on Ember Spirit. Better than Octarine Core.
Especially when he can't afford the Octarine Core. Put the
What does
Veil
he
of
even
Discord
drop?
into his backpack.
I guess Bottle. But yeah, he's capping out. Moonshard is... He's probably one of the worst cores with Moonshard.
Yep. So when you start to wonder where you go from here, Octarine will be it. So yeah, as you said, like he'll take the bottle out.
Rapier time?
It's
It's not out of the question for him.
yeah, but the item is nowhere near as effective on the Ember Spear as it used to be. That whole like go-to question is Sumail Rapier the way back in?
Radiant's bottom tower has
Maybe
fallen.
not. Right now they have to think about defending. Newbee 48 minutes in, are looking to come up high ground once more. The bottom lane got in close enough, so the backdoor regeneration won't kick in.
Has fallen.
As they wait, Karka under the cover of Sandstorm, ready just to blink forward. Actually can't when it's on cooldown, but damn, that melee Rags is already gone. They did so much damage so quickly, they can look over to the bottom lane where Death Prophet's pushing in. With the Burrow Strike, it's the bigger catch. It's on the puck. Can the Rock create no space for the Fatal Bonds? Impetus damage from Zai is doing work. The Slider Fist as well. Spirit jumps and mails into the back lines, killing off Faith. They've got enough, but will it actually be enough? The Lives just coming back in again. EG, they have to buy this. Newbee had theirs thanks to Roshan. Still kept in here by the Dream Call. Trigger off the Lincoln Spear, the silence of the Ember Spirit. Luki getting in close, needs more hits, and damn, he hits hard! Sumail is falling, he's gone, and then TP out. Yul Septual Cantalis, the sole survivor from Newbee. Luki, he has to fight, he's got Infest available. He's running down south, Arteezy stealing up that damage, and the ticket to freedom. Watch the creepy. Wait for it. They know they're pinging it. It's actually dying to the creep wave. Run away! Run away! He can't run fast enough. He actually has his armor turned on. Let the actually damage go. Does he have enough lifesteal to go through crit? He wants to. The orb's on him, but Universe, there's your silence. And Arteezy, 1,093 gold for claiming the 10 kill streak of Mugi.
Finally, they keep themselves alive. They actually went on the puck this time instead of the Razor. Razor was actually able to just go in there and do damage at will. And also Ember Spirit with the Arcane Rune, he probably did like 4 times as much damage as anybody else on EG's side. He just comes in for the back line and demolishes them.
And it looked like a good opening.
You can't underestimate the power of this Ember Spirit, though. He's just remnanting around, just casting chains constantly, and even the Maelstrom constantly hitting on all these heroes is ridiculous. And he's just left unchecked completely in this fight until close to the end. But so much damage has already been done. Exorcism already returned back to the Death Prophet.
It's the 2 buybacks as well on the Razor and the Punk. If they didn't find those kills after buying back, then it really wouldn't have been worth it. Like, both of them had to expend it, which does give you the other flip side, right? So now Newbee, okay, well, 100% no was maybe a little bit strong on the first little hit. But now Newbee are also sitting there going, they've got a 6-minute window, which maybe actually be broken up a little bit harder here. The BKB triggered, they don't get the kill. But without these buybacks, if Newbee forces again, EG will not have those heroes, not to mention the long death timers. So EG have to be very, very cautious about how their next fight pans out and when the next fight pans out.
Yeah, they definitely need to keep check of the runes, too. Like, DD and Arcane for Sumail would probably be ideal for them if he can get these fights. And Arcane runes is like another item and a half for him, potentially. And combine that with like an Octarine that he might be picking up soon, he can almost be like permanently inside a fist, which makes it impossible for you to kill him.
Arteezy has his BKB. 51 minutes it took to reach it.
He can still die though. Even if he pops BKB before the lasso, he can still die.
Is that just because of the insane damage coming out from Mugi?
Yep.
How much is he hitting for? So 167 plus 194. And he's rapidly approaching the Abyssal Blade.
And he has crit, and he has minus armor. So I think it's a lot more than the plus damage tells.
How do you actually kill him when he's also walking around? Like, that's 35 armor.
you get to level 25 on Razor, you get the more link you get the more link, and you just link him up. He has a lot of attack speed, so any sort of minus damage is going to limit his damage output greatly. But RTZ still struggling to get level 25, only level 22 at the moment.
Well, Newbee will be patient. Again, we might want to look towards that Roshan time. Potential spawn time is in 2 minutes. And they're hunting.
Newbee have to control the runes, though. The runes are so important right now for them. And even just denying them is going to be crucial.
Concerned of the double damage.
Arcane rune for the Death Prophet, too, could be huge for them. I don't think he's been able to snag one before these fights, but the double cooldown reduction actually make that, yeah, only double. He didn't go for the cooldown reduction talent at 20. He actually went for 50 move speed.
I wonder if SC actually wants to spend some of this money that he's got. Oh, that Dire Observer, you can see how scared. They already got a couple of hits into it, and Crit's not taking the risk. They're trying to get out of here. The Batrider wants a kill. Lotus Orb will protect Crit, so KP knows he cannot blink lasso onto him.
He could. He'd still die. It's not like they need the Batrider there for the damage. It's all Moogie.
But if you do it, you still need to have that lasso for the Razor now.
Yep.
Like, you actually have to hold off.
Yeah, they can't kill the Razor if he's not lassoed. BKB need to run around, no problem. He can easily cut the Exorcism Spirits.
Is that the birdie? Like, it's like the kill this little thing right here I'm dangling in front of you. One of the two heroes in EG that actually has buyback is the Warlock.
Yep. That's why he was out so far.
EG are coming.
They actually need more items up on the Batrider. He's been running around a lot with the Infested Lifestealer trying to get kills, but it has been suffering in its net worth. He hasn't been able to pick up a Scepter, Refresher. Ideally would be your items coming out into this late game.
Oh, they look for the target. The quick Yule Scepter up. Karka, Elder strike away. The Blink Lasso's out. And Arteezy, the target, he will fall. The Rock will come down as well, but how much space gets created? SK just buys back into the game, wants to mail. He's hunting Faith. This is all he's hunting on the back lines. He might be able to find that kill, but in the meantime, he's losing his teammates. Zai will fall. The rather big point of damage is gone. Universe starts his TP, a quick TP up from SC, and he won't reach him either. So we'll get the timer for Roshan in a second, but two heroes down for EG without buyback. Newbee have the option to go high ground now. And Warlock is being stalked by a lot of fans.
Is he actually going to hit level 25 before the Razor? He does have the XP game talent, but that's still a little bit ludicrous that he might hit 25 first.
Well, he's level 24 in a bit, so yeah, maybe. Maybe this is the other protection he's looking at. Talking about other saving items that the Warlock could potentially buy. He's looking at a Glimmer Cape. But I don't know if that's really going to help you. At least get a little bit of magical resistance, but every time Kark is in the middle of the fight with the Gem of True Sight, so the Invis isn't going to stop them from killing off Razor.
Agreed, but what other item can he pick up? Scepter doesn't really improve Razor's survivability at all. I guess potentially Vlad's or AC would not be bad
like
at all.
Refresher for the second rock.
Yeah, Refresher would be good too.
I say that means you at least get more control time.
I think he's just thinking short term, and if he does manage to save up enough gold for that big ticket item, then he can go for it.
Puck's at the 420. Trying to get himself closer and closer. He has the money for the full-size device. But at the same time, needs to hold on the money for buyback. That timer, that 7-minute window, is closing in 50 seconds. At the same time, also, Roshan is up for Newbee. I say for Newbee like they can just walk in and take it freely. EG will be looking to contest. And they got their... Actually, their Golem is down for 45 seconds. So they won't have that rock if Newbee decide to go into the pit.
And eyeing the start of the fight, how will this go? Ember Spirit has no more Lincoln Sphere on it, instead opting for a Mantis now, so he could potentially be the last target. I think if you can get him over to the Razor, you would definitely go for it.
I look at his quick buy. If you ever wanted to have like a reason why an Ember Spirit wouldn't go for a Rapier, he's got himself Dagon level 5 inside of his quick buy. But the initiation, KP's on the hunt, moving forward, the Blink Lasso, and again, they're going to find the Enchantress, so one of the damage deals will be brought down, maybe not. Zai, force-stopped away, the Lotus Orb protected him just enough. A quick little grab, the Epicenter is coming in with the Burrow Strike, that's hit enough with the rock, and Fatal Bonds, Newbee are in a horrific position. They still need the damage. Arteezy moves forward, 224 stolen, throwing it into Moogie, who stands his ground and will die. dying for the cause. SC still alive for the moment. Yule Scepter, bring him up and towards the air. Live Zilla buys back, looking to fight harder. SC will fall. Samel with a double kill, and Kaka cannot hide. The gem has been stolen. His Burrow Strike range, however, it'll give him the movement, but Samel is there to punch his number and take him out of the fight. 2 minutes without the SK and EG. The door closes, and they smash the window open.
No buyback on Kaka for 100 seconds, and
they don't even care about, well, do they care about the mid lane push? Roshan's alive. Maybe they can take him.
we talked about the priority for the Lasso selection on KP, and if you kill the Enchantress, is it that big of a deal for them?
It seemed like the best damage deal target to go on. It's either the Enchantress or it's going for the Razor, but...
Or you just go for Roche and let EG come to you. I think they need to wait for the vision on the heroes. And maybe he thought that he would catch EG by surprise, but they were completely prepared for that and will be able to claim the Aegis.
Let's have a quick look at it again. So there's your jump. The Enchantress start off. And then they try and keep her up with the 4-star out. So much time from Newbee chasing it to cause this a 4v5. The Burrow Strike from Kaka also didn't connect. The BKBs gave Arteezy the power to stand and fight this time around.
And if we see how useless Mugi is if he doesn't kill that hero at the beginning of the fight. And also, a hero like that probably doesn't continue to scale that well. She is building defensive items now, but Exorcism only does a limited amount of damage. And it's hard to amp up at this stage of the game. Maybe if we get Refresher, you can cast it twice.
Well, Illusion Push is what Newbee is currently repelling. The Warlock, again we look for that rock timing. Crit. It's created so much space in these fights. The magic immunity on his chaotic offering. He's sitting at 4.2k, so not that far away from having the Refresher Orb.
Yeah, you could sell his Midas right now if you wanted to. No big deal. So who ended up taking those items?
You looking for the cheese? Or you looking for what?
Oh, didn't see the Aegis. Just for some reason, it didn't show up on the F5 item. But it is in Razor's inventory.
Samel has slightly changed his item build. The Dagon's still in his quick buy. Oh, okay. He bought a Bloodthorn and then sold the Bloodthorn and is now sitting at 7.8k gold. And that Courier is near the secret shop, but not quite. It's the Refresher Orb onto crit, which we can have the applause for. But Samel, 7.8k, what are you going to do with this?
Looking at his talents, I mean, the cooldown reduction is way better for Rapier, I would say, if you are going to go for Rapier.
He's moving to the shop. Like, it's almost all eyes on Samel at the moment. Does he do it? He's walking over. The shopkeeper, is it time? Is it Rapier? It's a passing fancy. He will think about it later. Has to shop around, you know.
Yeah, sadly he doesn't have the cleave or the crit to synergize that well with it. So, I mean, potentially later you can. It's just so hard to actually deal with the Ember Spirit right now.
Here they come, Blink Lasso, it's Arteezy, grab, drag, all the way in. Remember, he's got the Aegis to the Immortal, but he's still very deep inside the base. Burrow Strike is stopping Zai from pumping out his damage, as Samel needs to keep that control up on the rock. It hits hard, Newbee's in trouble inside their own base. They're being pushed in deeper and deeper. It's still only the Rubik dead, however. Now the Death Prophet will join him. KP can't survive. Crit held him in position. The buyback is there. KP has another life. Mugi, what do you do here? You lose your bottom rack. You have to wait for another opportunity to jump in and fight. There's no epicenter. Infest's off cooldown in 3 seconds time, and maybe then they can find the opportunity. The tier 3 towers are under siege at Newbee. This game has been so back and forth. They want the opportunity. Sand King is the one to do it. Blink, Burrow Strike, the jump out. Mugi took so much damage, however. He needs to kill off Warlock, and he's got him. The Chaotic Offering pops out of him, but now the Bat Rider is down. Was it worth it? It is for EG. They have brought down 4 with no buybacks, and GG. Evil geniuses. They were